The dog's deed is done.
What can I say? They were the best. They really stood out. They put it all together when it counts, and that's what the sport's all about.
What a routine.
And that just may do it for Georgia here tonight.
Wow.
The Gym Dogs Show is brought to you by Melwood Springs. Melwood Springs from the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Georgia.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Yocklin, and welcome to the Gym Dogs Show. With me today is Associate Head Coach Jay Clark, and we just came off our first home competition finally after 3 competitions on the road. Our team is currently ranked 2nd in the nation going into this meet, and it was our Pink Out where we were celebrating increasing awareness for breast cancer and asking all of our fans to wear pink. And we had a special guest, right, Jay? A big guest.
Yeah, Monica Pearson from Channel 2 News. Most people remember her as Monica Kaufman. It was really great of her to come over and participate in this with us.
It was. You know, she's a breast cancer survivor herself, and she brought down onto the floor a number of our survivors to just make an appearance. Again, we want to increase awareness, and we also were raffling off a scooter, a pink scooter donated by Cycle World, and all of the proceeds went to the Athens Regional Breast Center. So, you know, we feel really blessed as a program that we have an opportunity to produce or provide a forum for breast cancer awareness, and it was a pink out through and through from the gymnasts in their new leotards donated to us by Alpha Factor, provided to us by them. They were wearing their pink, and then pink in the crowd and pink in the stands and pink t-shirts, and a little bit of a circus.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a circus. Suzanne riding out on the pink scooter. A lot of people were concerned it may send her into early retirement, but it was quite an amazing environment with the sellout and everything going on. And again, those leotards were phenomenal that they had out there. We appreciate that from Alpha Factor.
Well, we do, and you know, like Jay said, a sellout. Finally, a sellout. First meet. I mean, we've had sellouts before, but this sellout was 5 days prior to the competition, so that was unbelievable. They were actually scalping tickets at the door, so we know we've actually made it. But let's get into the competition. We're going to show you first the first 2 rotations, vault and bars, as we host number 5 LSU at home for the first competition of the season at home.
Marcia Newby gets us started off on vault. Marcia's really been coming along very well in this event, and you can see that's a great vault. Small hop there on the landing. She goes 9.875. That is her season high to this point. Great job on the table. Yurchenko half, lay out front, and just that hop. Susan Jackson over on bars. This is another solid routine for the Tigers. Sort of a Higgins to a mixed grip there into her Jaeger. It's a little bit late on that turn. An overshoot to handstand. Susan's a very powerful gymnast. That's a little bit of a pause there on the low bar that can be a rhythm deduction. I don't know if they took it. And then a full twisting double back dismount done very, very well, 9.775. Back over to vault. Courtney Coupette's it up for us. And pretty much the same thing we expect for her every time. A little bit of a shuffle there on the landing. Probably half a tenth for the most part. One judge took a tenth, one judge took a half a tenth. But other than that, just a fantastic vault. 9.925, and that's her 3rd straight vault of that score or better. Ashley Claire Kearney over on the uneven bars, and this is their biggest all-arounder here. Giant full to a huge Tkachev. She gets great amplitude on all of her skills. A little short on that straddle back. And a little short there on a handstand, it looks from this angle. And she finishes up with another full twisting double back. Very solid landing, 9.825. And we back over to vault with Katie Heenan. Huge vault, much better vault than we've seen from Katie in the last few weeks. And if she'll do it that way every time, we'll get that landing down. She does take a hop backwards. But really, that's the only thing. Almost straight body hollow there at the end, and just a fantastic vault. Really, the only deduction would be on the landing, and she goes 9.9. So after 1 rotation, we have a 49.15. Not our best vault score of the year, but solid. Back on the bars is Tiffany Tolnay for us. So blind change to her Jaeger. Very, very big Jaeger. And like in everything that Tiffany does, usually the amplitude is very, very good. You see her move over to the bar. I'm trying to break her of that. She does so because of this skill. The giant full right there kind of breaks her back to the middle. That was late, and as was the blind change. And then we get a little step right there on the dismount, and 9.825. That's about right. At the time, I thought it might have been a little low, but that's about right for what I saw there. Susan Jackson, huge vault. That's just enormous. 9.825. I felt like that probably could have scored a little bit better than it did on that event. Grace Taylor back on the bars for us. Grace is very unique on this event. This is a problem. That's a little short right there on her overshoot to handstand. I recall that being the case watching it live. Coleman each, pretty good so far. I think she had one handstand that was a little bit short. And then we get the double layout dismount here and a step. We've got to start sticking the landings. We're 4 meets in, and that's something we're emphasizing in practice every day now. 9.825 is her score. Back on vault, Ashley Claire Kearney. Big Yurchenko full. That's very, very big vault right there, folks. A little step on the landing, 9.925. Katie Heenan back on bars for us. She's become known as such an angle. That's late. That turn is late. It doesn't happen that way in practice, but in the meets, she seems to be having trouble getting it on top. Other than that, the rest of this routine, I felt like at the time was pretty much textbook, and I think the score reflects that. Just a late turn on that toe on and off blind change at the beginning. That's on top. The dismount's good. She does have her legs a little bit apart. They probably could have taken a little something there, but she goes 9.95, and I really feel like it was the best routine we did all day on the event. Courtney Kupet's up last for us in the anchor spot as usual. That's a little low. She almost missed that shapash, but she pulls it back together. Really no deduction there, but I see it every day, and I know she can do it bigger than that. This is the hop full combination to the reverse hecht. Huge combination. That's an E to a D combination. They don't get much more difficult than that. The final release sequence coming right here to the Corkina. Very nicely done. She has one handstand that's a little short, and it's hard to tell if it's that one or the one before that. And then a solid dismount, sticks the landing, 9.925. And as I said, I think Katie's was just a little bit better in terms of overall execution. 49.325 for us on bars. We have a 6.5 lead after 2 rotations.
The Gym Dogs Show is brought to you by Melwood Springs. Melwood Springs from the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Georgia. By Makar Homes. Makar Homes, built with passion for over 50 years. By Brown Arrowhead Clinic. Arrowhead Clinic, Georgia's largest spinal healthcare organization. By Athens Regional Medical Center. At Athens Regional, we have a specialty. You. By Phil Hughes Honda. Phil Hughes Honda, the official Honda of the Georgia Gym Dogs. By the Georgia Club. The Georgia Club, a community of neighborhoods in Bulldog Country.
Ask Suzanne, brought to you by Makar Homes. And this week's question is, Suzanne, did you have to practice riding that scooter before you rode it out into the Coliseum? And the answer is yes, of course, especially after knowing how many times Nikki Childs and Abby Stack have crashed their scooters. I wanted to make sure I could do it, and it's harder than you think, but we did practice the day before. That's Ask Suzanne, brought to you by Makar Homes.
Welcome back. Well, after kind of a rough start on vault, not exactly what we'd like to see out of ourselves on vault right now, we did get settled down a little bit on bars. It was a little crazy in there, and I think the girls had a little bit of a distraction, but we've got a 6.5 lead. Very similar, kind of eerily similar to what happened at Florida after 2 rotations, almost the same lead. And so we've really got to stay focused and maintain where we're going, and we're headed over to beam. And, you know, there's been a lot of talk about the first 3 meets on beam, and Suzanne, talk to us about the preparation going into this week on the balance beam.
We were definitely, you know, pushing the routines, but at the same time, it was important for us to remain positive in the gym because, you know, we believe what happens in practice is going to carry over into competition. So, you know, I don't want to beat the girls up too much mentally about falling on beam, but instead just continue to remind them how good they are and how great they do in practice. And so, you know, have the faith eventually it will carry over. So here we are in this meet, and as Jay said, we have a comfortable lead and a strong beam lineup going in. And so let's take a look at Georgia on balance beam.
So we're headed to beam with a very comfortable lead at this point, but as we've seen in weeks past, we've got to really stay on top of it. And moving Katie into the #1 spot, at least for this week, seems to be a great idea because she's been so rock solid on this event for us for all 4 years. And she, again, gets us off to a great start here. Solid on the series. Everything in Katie's routine is solid. It's not packed with difficulty. Other than that right there is very difficult. Straddle jump to a sheep jump. And then the punch front to a wolf jump. Great combination work. You know, she does what she needs to do, hits it solid, and gets off the beam in a very, very clean fashion, and that's what you want in that leadoff spot. It's a great double full right here. Little shift there on the landing, 9.85, but it's Katie Heenan, and it's just nice to see her in that spot for us. Hillary Morrow over on the balance beam for us. Hillary kind of was a last-minute addition. She had been sick and wasn't able to go, and then she was the alternate for tonight and warmed up very well and ended up stepping into the lineup for Cassidy McComb. Hillary's a freshman from Cincinnati. Actually, she's from Boston, but she trained at Cincinnati, Ohio. That's a punch front that you don't land any better than that. Hillary's very short in stature, but that's a huge skill that she does better than anybody on our team, and I think probably in the nation. Round off double pike dismount, done very, very well. A little step there on the landing, and Hillary goes 9.85. Very solid for us in the early part of the lineup. That's a tucked full in from Lauren Klein over on floor for LSU. She comes back with a whip half to a Rudy. Very solid difficulty for the Tigers. This is a good team. Don't let the scoring fool you. This is a good team, and I expect them to be right in the thick of it the rest of the year. She finishes with another D as a double tuck at the end and goes 9.9. Grace Taylor over on balance beam. You're used to seeing her in the leadoff spot, but we're moving things around, trying to stabilize that event. One arm back handspring to a back pike. Shows off her flexibility there. That's something that we had not done in years past. A little bit of a balance check there on the full turn. I think that's probably a 1/2 tenth deduction. Front aerial to a pike jump. Makes the connection barely, I think. And then a step there or hop on the landing and goes 9.875. Pretty good score for that routine. Ashley Claire Kearney, huge Arabian double front. This kid is an athlete. She is powerful on every event. Comes back with an enormous double pike. And then finishes up a whip half to a Rudy. She's got a D or better in every pass. She doesn't have a stumble there. And then Courtney McCool rounding out the lineup. And folks, watch this routine. I don't want to talk too much because this thing is something to see. It's loaded with difficulty, and the execution is just impeccable. Front aerial, the back handspring layout, very nicely done, solid all the way through. And I've mentioned this before, her technique on everything. See her work the beam on toe. You don't see that very much anymore. I wish the judges would take that into account when they're looking at a lot of teams and trying to separate routines, because we work very hard on our kids moving through their routines on toe and doing the things that you're taught to do when you're young. Side summy, an E-level skill, very difficult skill. It's a sort of semi-blind landing sideways on the beam, and it's tough to do. Full turn to satisfy the requirement. Switch side, perfectly done. You don't see too many kids get both legs even on both sides that way. They usually have one leg lower than the other and almost kind of like they're tilted. Courtney's very, very well trained in all aspects of this event and does a great job and nails her landing there. And folks, that's as close to a perfect balance beam routine as you're going to see. A little bit of rhythm deductions in terms of maybe the connections could have been a little bit quicker, but a 9.975 nonetheless. So after 3 rotations, now we've got a comfortable lead. We've got a full point lead. We're going to floor. Hopefully the crowd's going to get us up into it, and we really need to finish strong. We got a chance at a great score.
Hi, my name is Janessa Davis, and I was going to ask Grace Taylor what it was like when she first realized that she was a gym dog.
Thanks for the question, Janessa. When I found out that I was coming to Georgia, I was just really excited and immediately started getting pumped to move away and live here on campus and do gymnastics in front of all these great fans.
Hi, I'm Jenny Fleming. My favorite part of the meet is the freestyle, when the girls' personality and skills come through.
So now we're headed over to floor,
And that's been a very strong event for us. We are without Tiffany Tolnay this week because of an ankle situation that, not anything that's really been diagnosed yet, but we're trying to avoid anything long-term going on with her. So we're without her on beam and floor this week. And Hillary's going to have to step in and do the job there too.
That's right. Let's see what happens on floor.
You see the pink out. You see all the pink in the stands. The students really showed up in force in their T-shirts. They're throwing the 4 fingers in the air for the 4th rotation. Hillary Morrow, our freshman, getting us started. She's actually in the 2nd spot on this event tonight. Starts out with a double pike. It's a very big double pike. You got to remember she's 4'8", so it's that's a pretty good amplitude for someone that size. A round off 1.5 to front full. That's 2/10 a bonus in that skill. Then she finishes with a Rudy. We can clean that up a little bit. That's probably a temporary fix. I don't know that that's going to be the pass all season, but a great, solid routine from Hillary Morrow, our freshman. Glad to see her back in action. She goes 9.85. Abby Stack on floor for us. Abby went in Florida. We were a little disappointed in Abby's scoring, but after looking at it last week, there were some places where she needed to improve in terms of the way she was landing, some of her leaps and jumps. Big triple full. She squares that around. A little bit of a lean back there on the end, but very solid. Double full punch front. That's immediately following that triple full. And then she finishes with a much better double pike than what she had done in weeks previous. Chest still needs to get up a little bit on the landing, but she landed her leap series combos that we didn't show much better than she did the week before, and her score improves by 0.5 tenth, and she goes up to 9.875. Cassidy McComb, another one of our freshmen, our only other freshman from Las Vegas, Nevada. Incredible performer on this event. Really draws the crowd in. I think the crowd, our home crowd, really appreciated this routine, and I think she's going to be a crowd favorite on this event. Opens with a very large double pike. Goes back with a front fold or front layout. Controls that landing, but almost lost it. And then finishes here for the first time, the 2.5 punch front. Very difficult way to end a routine, and she does it very, very well. 9.925, and that's her 2nd score of 9.9 or better in each of our first 4 meets. Courtney Kupets in the 5 spot. This is a great routine, too. The music in this routine is incredibly unique. I don't know if we'll hear it anywhere. I don't know where it came from, but it's fits her personality very well. A little short on that Arabian double front. She has a tendency to twist early and not finish extending through the floor on the set, and sometimes it happens that way. But we've seen her do that early in the season in years past too. Whip half front double full. I may have said last week that's an incredibly difficult pass to do, and she does it as well as anybody I've ever seen. And then sticks the landing on the double pike, and you always want to leave that last impression with the judges, and she does a great job doing that on that pass, and the judges reward her with a 9.95. But we really want to kind of put that final stake in the ground, and what better person on this night than Courtney McCool, who did such a great job in the 6th spot on beam. 2.5 punch front layout, super clean. You can't do it any better than that. And this is just a greatly performed routine all the way. She's just so technically precise on everything she does, and that's why she's in that last spot on both of these 2 events. If we can ever get her going on another event, it's just going to be an added bonus for us. She is training bars now, so we're looking hopefully by the end of the season to get her in on that event. A whip to immediate double full. Again, very clean. You can just see the precision and everything. She's smiling throughout everything she's doing, drawing the crowd in. You talk about a 1.5 minutes of constant movement. It is not as easy as she makes it look. But now she finishes up with a Rudy, and this is also going to change here pretty soon. That may be the last time you see that as her last pass, as we're looking to change that. Great routine, solid from top to bottom, and she gets another 9.975 to finish off the meet. The team comes out and greets her, and you can see we've gone 197.55, which is a fantastic score for this time of year. We feel really good about where we are to LSU's 195.925.
Routine of the Week brought to you by Athens Regional Medical Center, and this week's routine is Courtney McCool on the balance beam as she scores a perfect 10 from one judge and a 9.95 from the second judge in one of the best routines of her career. That's Routine of the Week brought to you by Athens Regional Medical Center.
Countdown to the NC2As brought to you by Melwood Springs, and as you can see, this score does indeed put us at the #1 spot for the time being. #2 is Utah, moving up one spot. Florida drops to #3, and here we go again, another top 5 team that we're facing this week, Alabama #4. And that's Countdown to the NC2As brought to you by Melwood Springs. Well, there you have it, the highest score of the year for any team in the country, a great way for us to open our season at home. This score, Suzanne, should move us back into the #1 spot, and we feel like really that's probably where we belong right now. We just got to keep proving it week in and week out.
We do belong there. I feel we definitely did prove it this weekend. You know, teams are going to have bad meets and execution and different weeks. They're going to do things better than other weeks. But this was such an outstanding competition that there's no doubt it will propel us into that #1 ranking. And we like being #1. We like that big target on our back. We've certainly had enough practice with that. So after a great meet, now we look forward to going next week to Tuscaloosa, Alabama for another away meet, another top team. We're headed off to Tuscaloosa. But before I close, I just want to say thank you to Alpha Factor, who donated the leotards and the warm-up suits to us for this pink out. And they've also, in the past, donated the pink leotards and the pink out leotards to Utah and Nebraska and other teams throughout the country. So their support of breast cancer awareness is much appreciated. And now we're back in the red and black and headed off to Tuscaloosa. See you next week with the results from Georgia versus Alabama.
The Gym Dogs Show has been brought to you by Melwood Springs. Melwood Springs from the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Georgia. By Makar Homes. Makar Homes, built with passion for over 50 years. By Brown Arrowhead Clinic. Arrowhead Clinic, Georgia's largest spinal healthcare organization. By Athens Regional Medical Center. At Athens Regional, we have a specialty. You. By Phil Hughes Honda. Phil Hughes Honda, the official Honda of the Georgia Gym Dogs. By the Georgia Club. The Georgia Club, a community of neighborhoods in Bulldog Country.